Okay, welcome ladies and gentlemen to this edition of Painting a Face in 1/10 scale. This segment will primarily cover the painting scheme that I've adopted to render this particular example in a previous video recording. I won't call that really much of a tutorial because I think it was more like a painting session which I was doing and sort of recorded my process. So I was quite surprised when a lot of you guys who have watched the video wrote in to me asking me about the colors that I've used and in particular the strategies that I've adopted to render this particular face. In today what I'll do is I will share with you some of the key ideas that I've adopted, or rather if I've implemented to sort of render this particular sample here. So as you can see, these are the lineup of the colors that I have chosen to sort of render this particular example here. There are some variations from the demos, but I think in essence these are the main colors that I have used, right, for the particular demonstration. So I think the main idea here is to understand in terms of some of the rationale that surrounds the implementation of these colors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of introduce some of the colors from the top there, right? So as you can see, I've adopted a more like a linear fashion of what you call it, arranging my colors. So as you can see, from here right here we got three segments starting from the top here. That's going to form the highlights, okay, right? And then consisting of deep sky blue from Vallejo, alright, light flash as well from that's also from Vallejo, light yellow also from Vallejo, Japanese uniform World War II from Vallejo, bright orange also from Vallejo, and crimson. This is actually from Andrea Colors. So I'm not sure if they still produce this color, but in case if you still can't find this particular color, you can always cut this hue by incorporating a bit of let me see, right, okay, a bit of carmine red and rose from Vallejo. Right, so yeah, okay. So now next, this is a very nice color. I like this particular hue because it's nice and rich. Alright. So you can see, and finally there's another color to make up this segment is livery green. This is actually from the Vallejo game color. Alright. So this is next is what we have. We have a dark Persian blue from Vallejo, black green from Vallejo, and as well as quinacridone crimson. This is from another brand called Golden. So Golden produces artist grades acrylic paints. So as you can see, they're available in this sort of quantities. Now I like this particular paints because they are particularly rich and very deep. I don't use them for general painting because they produce a very satin finish. So I use them very sparingly to sort of to intensify the chroma. Alright, intensify the chroma, or rather the intensity of the paints. Alright, so yeah, with that in mind, I think we can start sort of like putting the colors together now. So let's not waste any time. Okay, so in terms of the tools I'm using, the brushes rather. Okay, so right, so in terms of you can see right now we're going to introduce you the guys that this whole entire segment here, alright, from you can see is how it's being partitioned. So we have for the top deep sky blue, right, light flash and ice yellow. This will form the highlights. The midsection of the four colors, Japanese uniform, bright yellow, crimson, as well as livery green. This will form the midtones. And right at the bottom we have the Persian blue, black green, as well as the quinacridone crimson. That will help to form the shadow belt of the colors, right? So just a view in terms of colors, brushes I'm using. I'm actually using Nevskaya Pilatra. This is a Russian company. I like the sables because they are sable brushes, and they are pretty. And I mean, cost-wise, they are pretty good, right? Okay, so let me remove the subtitles, and I will show you. Or, oops. Yep. Okay, so you can get a clear view of the brush that I'm using. Right, Okay, another you can see. All right, so I like it because I think it's a pretty as I said it's other than cost from a price point it's a very good from the price point it's very good. Another brush I'm also using is also from this is from Raphael. All right, it's an O size brush. I like it because it's also it has a nice round belly that absorbs a lot of paint and is a very fine tip. So I'm going to use these two brushes in tandem for the fine detail work. Right? Okay. So now we're going to move on a bit down to the. Alright, let's going to get some colors. I'm going to use my filbert right now. Alright. Okay, so I'm going to take a bit of I'm going to just take a bit of livery green right now, and I'm just going to combine it with a bit of just a bit more. Alright, a bit of bright orange here. I'm going to just mix it together. So I just want you to have a look at the colors. What's the outcome when I mix green and orange together? In particular, this livery green. Okay, so just don't be too shocked by the result. You can see I'm producing a more like an ochre color, so I'm just removing the subtitles a bit. Oops. Okay, so at least you have a good idea in terms of what the colors I'm using. So bright orange and livery green. Okay, so as I can see, I'm combining them together, and it makes this very nice close, comes a much lighter hue, very close to what we have the Japanese uniform World War II. Alright. Okay, so adding more orange, you can see I'm going to incorporate more orange. You can see it get a much more of a peach hue, right? You can see, right? Just by increasing the percentage of orange, you can see I'm getting a more of like a flesh tone now. It's almost like a peach color. So adding a bit of water right now, so you can see, so just improve the flow just a bit, so it's makes us better. Okay. So you can see just by combining these two colors, I can sort of mix a third color here, right? So this is the result here. All right. Okay. So what I'm going to do now, okay, so I'm going to pull a bit of this from here. So what I'm going to do now is going to take a bit of light flash. All right. And I'm going to combine it with that particular mix. This is going to the mid-tone there. Just going to combine it together. Just incorporate it in. Okay, and you can see I'm almost got almost about 3 flesh tones, right? Colors from the 3 hues for my flesh tones right now, just by combining 2 colors together, 3 colors, right? Light flesh, orange, and the livery green. So you can see these colors are pretty rich, pretty bright in that sense in comparison. So you might probably wonder what we're gonna add. If we're gonna cut the saturation for that, I can add a bit of green. You can see the tone right now dulls down a bit. Right. So again, what we're trying to do here is we're trying to sort of use these two colors in a very antagonistic way to sort of like oppose them each other. So you might wonder is what if we just take orange and flat flash together? Notice what's the result. It's very fresh. It's very strong. The effect is very strong. It's very bright. It almost gives a very fluorescent quality to the color. So again, it's not as bad, but it also depends on what you want to use it for. So sometimes if you find that if you're going to render something that needs a bit more subdued tones, then you should know how to subdue it rather than trying to use black and white for sort of like creating your tonal values. The alternative is also to use complementary colors in this case, or even secondary colors, analogous colors, to sort of control the tone. So what I'm using right now is I'm using the green as a opposing color to the orange. Right, because of the reason being is that in the green there's a bit of blue, and this blue is a complementary. Alright, complementary spelled with E. Alright, complementary to the orange. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on now. I'm going to take a bit of blue, and I'm going to show you what the blue is going to do with that color. Alright, so you can see, yeah, as I'm going to explain now, you can see that I'm going to put in a bit more flash first. You're just going to see what the effects of blue going to do together with the orange. Alright, so we're gonna pull this in. Right, so again, just a recap, this is deep sky blue. Alright, so gonna pull it in. Alright, take a bit of that, and then you're going to mix it, and you can see what we're going to create. It's going to create almost like an eggshell color. Right. As you can see, it's with a very grey quality to it right now. Right, so greenish grey quality, if I might say so. So not something that we want for a flesh tone. It's a bit too cold. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a bit of the orange right now. We're going to add it in to sort of, as I mentioned before, orange and blue, they are complementary. So the moment when sort of incorporate the orange together with the blue, notice how it changes the quality of that particular color by just increasing the percentage of orange in it. And you can see right now what I have is a bit of a very muted flesh tone, which is a more natural to the eye as compared to just pure what do you call that, orange and yellow. Alright, so again, it depends on what you want to sort of skin tone you want to achieve. You can just combine the rest of the other colors together, and you can get a huge range of color values and tones. Okay, alright, so yeah. So as we are doing this, you can see, right? So you can see how the colors mix. So with just by combining these few colors, alright, these 4 colors, right, you can see that we have actually almost created almost up to 5 different values and tones just by using these pure colors. And mind you, those colors themselves can also be used, alright, as to render other things as well. So what we are looking, essentially, these are almost like tertiary colors, but in combined in varying quantities to create different effects. So as you can see from here, the organization of the palette, how I'm able to sort of create a sphere of analogous colors here. So just by playing around, as I said, the green, the orange, as well as the blue. Right, so these are 3 colors we sort of like, in a sense, you can consider them as channels. Right, so as I said, the dominant colors in this equation would be the orange, and and the other 2 opposing colors would be the light blue and the green. So they are the ones who sort of they will sort of work against the orange to produce a subdued tone. So again, right, so it depends. It's all up to you how you want to sort of play with it. Right, adding a bit of blue, so it's up to your preference. So but just with this little demonstration, I'm showing how many sort of tones you can sort of generate by just this very simple few simple colors. All right, okay, so a bit of orange here and there. So just what we're gonna do. Okay, so again, I'm just playing around. I'm just giving a very brief example in terms of it. So again, the orange here, as I said, the flash is a bit too rich. I'm gonna just a bit of water. Now you're wondering what the crimson is going to do now. I'm going to show you what the crimson is going to, the role of the crimson is going to do. So I'm going to take a bit of crimson and combine it together with the quinacridone crimson, combine them together, and we're going to try to sort of use that and build another sphere. Alright, so I'm going to create another mid-tone again, this time around with the same as what we did, and this time around I'm going to just pull in a bit of crimson. Now notice how it changes right now. Look at how the color is more intense right now. So you can see we can sort of use that to build it up. Now we realize that, you know, it's too intense, too reddish, so adding a bit of light green is not going to sort of pull in the tones. Right, it's not going to rein in the redness. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring in the big guns now. Right, you're going to bring in the big guns. Right, so let me mix this up first for a while. Okay. Alright. Okay. Alright, so you can see just by mixing the crimson and the just by mixing crimson and the light green together, we can sort of create another tone. Alright. Okay. So now you can see from that the other tone, the combination of the tone from crimson, bright orange, and livery green, we can sort of bring it up. Okay, and we mix in ice yellow, and you can see we've got another different scheme. So we can use the light flash and put it in the center there, and then that together with the ice yellow, and you combine it, you can have another sort of range of tones that you can play with. So ultimately, what you want to do is you want to sort of widen the spectrum of colors that you can play with, right? So again, right. So as you can see, just by just few colors, you can see the variety of tones you can generate, right? Okay. Right now, so what we're going to do now, we're going to take a bit of the crimson and we're going to combine it with the quinacridone crimson, and we're going to add a bit of green to that combination. You realize, oh, okay, and a bit of orange there. You realize it's not going to help. Orange is not going to help. So what we're going to do is going to take the stronger crimson and we're going to add it in. And notice what we have. We got a very dark grayish brown here, which is actually very suitable for a cool tone. And now adding the black green to get a quinacridone crimson, we can even add even a darker cool tone in there. So these some of the cool colors can be subordinated into the shadows, right? So again, I'm going to combine a bit of the ochre together with the Persian blue, and if we can combine it, you can see we can get another different quality of brown, more of a greenish brown this time. So again, if it's too, as I said, we just need to combine it a bit of orange and a bit of the livery green. We can create again another range of tones, right? So as you can see, how the tones are being sort of like generated. Okay, right. So basically, just this is just a rough idea in terms of how we can sort of play around with the colors here. Okay. Right, and combining with these colors and creating different permutations of flesh tones, right? Okay, so now okay, we're going to tint this down. So what I'm going to show you, I'm going to show you how we're going to work with it in terms of quinacridone crimson later. All right, so as I said, these colors are this particular color, the from golden, is particularly strong. So I always encourage people to sort of tint it down a lot and use it more like an ink to sort of enhance the colors, right? Okay, so now let's see. We're going to see how we're going to work with we're going to use these colors now. We're going to use it, paint it as a highlight. So again, with application, we always make sure that the paint is of a nice and thin consistency. Alright, this is extremely important. Alright, okay. Right, so again, just going to position it, the brush. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just make a demonstration in terms of how we're going to pull the highlights even more, get a much brighter effect. So again, very thin. We're going to tint the paint down until it becomes more like a milk, gives a more milk-like consistency. Right, so, oops. So I'm going to show you right now with this piece of paper. I'm going to show you how thin the paint is. So what we mean by milk is like we're going to sort of make sure that when you land the color on, okay, when you land the paint on, it makes sure that it produces a nice and uniform stroke, right? You do not want any what you call unnecessary build up of colors like this. So you just want it to sort of, when you pull, make sure you lift the paint up such that you have a nice and smooth finish, right? So that is the basic idea in terms of paint application, right? So if you want, you can find out how to do this. I've mentioned this many times in my DVDs, right? So I'm gonna move it. I can show you how I'm gonna land the colors on now. Okay. So as you can see, just softly, just layering the colors there. You probably get a much soft. You'll get a soft effect. Okay. Right. So very gentle, waiting for the first layer to dry. So we try not to spread too much. So you can see there's a bit of build up there. So I'm not going to disturb it. I'm just going to let it dry for a while and see if I can sort of dab it and sort of like let it diffuse, right? So you can see right now, okay. So I'm reaching in with the paint right now. Okay, adding still a bit of the same color there again. So you can see that part immediately, very subtly, you can see it starts to brighten up. Okay, a bit more on the nostrils now. Okay, Okay, so you can see it's starting to smoothen out. Or some fibers here, sorry about that. Okay. Okay, so lightly just push the paint. It's almost like spreading butter, right? So I always tell people is that if you know how to spread butter, you can spread paint. It's just making sure that the paint is as lean as possible. Have it thin just nice, alright? Right, so the thinning process is very important, right? The how much you thin, how much water you add. Okay, so a bit more on the nose there. So the bridge some of the high points there. Okay, so I'm trying to get it in focus now. Alright, so you can see I'm doing it more mainly on this side here as well. Okay, just a bit on the high points, very lightly, just brushing through. Okay. So what I'm going to do is right now I'm going to use a bit of quinacridone crimson, right, to sort of enrich some of the areas there. So I find that the side of the neck is a bit too pale, right, from some of the violet. So I'm going to do is I'm going to take a bit of the quinacridone crimson, dilute it in the heat. It's about maybe about 50% water. It's very thin, and I'm just going to just like brush it upwards. Just spread the brush upwards, alright, such that all the water, the excess, sort of like gathers towards the end. So again, just a light brush, making sure it spreads evenly. Okay, and just waiting for it to dry first. Don't want it to be too wet. So again, I'm just waiting for this to dry before I commence on to the next layer. So again, okay, the lower portion here, just another light area, just like let's spread there. Okay, so the lower part there, I'm going to enhance it a bit more. So I'm just going to push it up. Okay, right now. So now you can see the cheekbones here. I'm going to just enhance it. Just put another wash. When you wait for it to dry, and just push it up. Yeah, so just make it look a bit much richer. Just give it the depth. Okay, now there's a bit of ice yellow here. Right. So I'm just going to perhaps recapture a bit of the cheekbones here. Just get a bit more highlights out there. Okay, so again, very thin, right, and just lightly just land tone there, very small speck there, right, and that's going to give me a bit of the highlight there. Remember, less is more. Okay. Okay, a bit of the cheeks again. Again, I'm revisiting a lot of some of these places here, right? Okay, so now we're using a bit of the darker values now to sort of reinforce some of the shadows. Okay, alright, so towards the inside there, probably just touch up a bit on the eyebrows. Okay, just a bit on the side here. Okay, some of the not all everywhere, and just going to be when the darker the values, right? I'm going to just pinpoint certain areas. That's it, right? This means the smaller areas you're going to get it, not the whole entire area. So it's all about varying out the amount of paint as well as the areas, right? So a bit more quinacridone crimson. You can just thin it down a bit, and just probably just a light. Also like wash. You can see it's very simple. It's like watercolor. So again, it's just a matter of just layering. Okay, it's not a difficult technique. It's actually very simple. It's just it just requires a bit of patience. Okay, right. So again, it's very controlled So again, I'm just taking the brush and just lightly just sweeping it upwards and then lifting the bristles in the process as well. So now you can see using a bit of quinacridone crimson to just push into some of the mid-tones and the highlights can vastly increase the hues and saturation and enhance the vitality of the figure's appearance, right? The appearance of the face. So I like that it adds a bit more life, right? Okay. So pushing a bit more of the shadows there. Okay, so now I'm going to go with a bit more of a darker value. So I'm going to create more of a very dark brown using black green and it's a bit of quinacridone crimson. And then perhaps I'm going to just combine this and you just get a very very dark value, and this is going to use this to to shade some of the darker parts here. Okay, so I'm just going to come in perhaps around the eyebrows. I'm going to come in and just go test it out. You can just trim the eyebrows a bit. Okay. So maybe I will also touch up a bit on the lips as well. Okay, just gonna keep it. So I'm gonna switch to the Raphael brush because it's much better. So right, so we're going in with the eyebrows now. We're using the Raphael brush. Okay, so a bit on the upper lid first. So you can see that's the dark value that we've created using a bit of the crimson as well as the black green. That goes on top there, right? So you can use that as like a wash. You're gonna just like slowly apply on. So it gives, as I said, we're gonna create a sort of diffused look. Okay, so again, just just putting in the shadows. Right, just enhancing some of the deeper features around there. Okay, so just give a bit of stipple there. Just stippling, just give you a bit of the stubble. Okay, here's some of the darker values and the deeper parts there. Yeah, slightly tapping some of the colors on, the paint on. Okay, you can see that's the combination there. Right, so again, I'm just working from experience. I'm just intuitively just taking this on. So it's well, right. So again, testing it before I even start to apply on. So I'm very very cautious. So every time, as you can see, I'm not a very I don't apply very bold colors onto the face. Normally, I'll wait. I'll sort of apply a thin layer, see where it goes, and I'll slowly start to work from there. Okay, just lining the shadows for within the mouth there. At least the opening of the mouth. This corner of the mouth. Okay, I'm going to touch up a bit on the lips as well. I think it's a bit too reddish, so I'm going to just cut a nice, I think more of a brown. Okay, so just to subdue the redness. So I just find it's a bit too, from where I'm looking at it looks. So I'm just going to just rein in the redness and just lightly just dab over so that it has a more, remove that very feminine looking, feminine color, right? Okay. Right, so Yeah, just control a bit more, just a bit of a hip. Alright. Okay. So I'm doing to the side there. Okay, so I'm just waiting for the part to dry. Right, so I'm just going to a bit of the same color there, just to give it a bit of pink there, just to give it a bit of illumination, right? So what I'm going to do is around the cheekbone there, so there's a bit of a light dash of pink for the cheek. So I'm also going to do something to define the jawline there, right? So create a bit of an illumination, right? So I'm just blending the color there. Okay, so I want to sort of have the light coming from a different quality of the light. What do you call in photography terms? It's called ambient light coming from a different side. So you can see I'm trying to sort of spread the paint. It's not working too well, so I'm going to just it's too weird. So I'm just going to take it away first. Okay, so I want a much softer effect, right? So as you can see, these are one of the attributes of benefits of actually working with a very thin paint. Okay, alright, so a bit of a bounce light there. Okay. So okay, right, so I'm gonna take another shot at this. Give it a bit more of a I want a more of a greenish tone, right? But it's of a cool quality. It's nothing too strong, right? So what I'm going to do is just gonna just make it slightly brighter. Just increase the contrast a bit first, right? It's too bright, so now I'm gonna take a bit of the tones here, more of a reddish tone here, right? So I'm just gonna paint it over first and see how it goes, right? Oops, too. So I'm going to take a bit of that mix there, the base color mix. See if I can cut a better tone there. Okay, right. Get the ears first. Okay. Okay, a bit of that. Okay, so crimson. Alright, I'm going to get a bit of violet there, so I want to sort of have a bit of illumination. Right, so combination of Andrea the crimson and the deep sky blue. So I'm going to test it out. I'm going to just for the lower jaw. So I'm going to just create a bit of illumination for the lower jaw. Right. So yep, so just push it up to see if it's too bright. So maybe I need to add a bit more crimson, a bit of the brown there. This again same thing as well. See, it might look dark on the palette, but it may maybe I'll just put a bit of blue in there and see what we can go up so we can see. Alright, okay, looks good. Alright, I'm happy. Alright, let's go. Just slowly just pull it around. As you can see, it dries up beautifully. Alright, so adding a bit more crimson, a bit of blue, and get a violet. Okay, more of a deeper violet there. Alright, let's see if we can use that to sort of establish the jaw, profile of the jaw. So we got a nice shadow there. Okay, I'm gonna continue to soften that area there, so I'm gonna get another different tone. Yeah. Okay, that's good. A bit of a bounce shadow. Bounce light rather, coming from the bottom of the chin there. Okay, so I'm just gonna add a bit of a darker value now. Okay, bit of a blue. Okay, adding it on. Okay, so if more like you can see, there's a core shadow down there. That sort of gives it a plain break. Okay, I'm gonna just kind of blend this together. Alright, like having another glaze to sort of go over. Maybe just touch up a bit to give a try to match a mid tone for that area. Okay. Alright, now this is good. Make it a bit more subtle. Alright, more blended in. Give it a profile of the neck there. A bit of a cast shadow for the neck as well. Okay, yes, touching on a bit of highlights there. Okay, let's touch up a bit of the highlights now. Yeah, small little touches over there. Okay, just a bit more, few more touches around. So you can see actually the technique itself is actually not very complicated, right? It's just a matter of just knowing how to spread the paint. Always maintain the belief that if you know how to spread butter, you should be able to spread paint. It's not that difficult. It's just a matter of just controlling the dilutions and getting the right equipment, right? So let's see. So this, I think, more or less concludes today's particular exercise there, right? So let me adjust it to get a much sharper view here. Right, so you can see on today's this is what we have done a bit from today, a bit of the rendering for the sides there, a bit of a bounce light coming in. So at least you'll know how I actually go about working in terms of my the palette, the colors, how I organize my colors, and how I sort of arrange them and sort of render this particular example that you now see right in front of you. Alright, so I think this will give you a general idea in terms of how I go about with the painting of a 1/10 scale bust. Until then, next time, take care and stay safe. Goodbye.